Chapter 646, Road of Life. The wind veil of assimilation was constantly getting closer. That was why Giant Sons will try to get Fang Yuan to surrender. If Fang Yuan surrendered and returned Giant Sun's immortal essence, everything would be easy to settle. But if Fang Yuan was adamant and refused to surrender, Giant Sons would have to fight him to the death. Hey Lulan, I am giving you this strength path immortal goo. Release your dark limit seal and display the true might of one of the 10 extreme physiques. Your great strength true martial physique has the highest recovery speed in the world. It greatly surpasses the other 9 extreme physiques. Don't worry, even if you self-detonate, I have my ways to save you. Giant Sunswell said, handing He Lulan a strength path immortal goo. Obtaining the immortal goo that he had been dreaming of, He Lulan was unable to conceal his excitement. Thank you, Lord Ancestor. At the same time, Giant Sons will promise the other goo masters many benefits, handing out goo worms one by one. Giant Sons will raise the morale. This scoundrel has committed many evil deeds. You will all be great heroes renowned in Northern Plains after eliminating him. Your act of bringing peace to the people will make sure you are well respected wherever you go. We know that being basked in the light of wisdom would reduce lifespan. But in this situation, if we continue delaying it, we will be killed by the wind veil of assimilation. How can losing a bit of lifespan compare to death? Furthermore, you just need to restrain him. I will strike and deal the finishing blow. Everyone looked at each other. Giant Sunswell had incomparable reputation. He was left behind by the old ancestor, under benefits and reputation. Forced by the situation, everyone summoned their courage and looked at Fang Yuan, ready to strike. Strange, why isn't he dead yet? After being in the light for so long, he should have expended all his lifespan already. Suddenly, someone asked this, because if Fang Yuan was dead, they would not need to take a risk. That is because he is already dead. After completely becoming a zombie monster, he is among the living dead. The dead have no lifespan. No matter how long he stays there, he would not die of old age. He Lulan explained, destroying their fantasies. So that's it. Everyone was taken aback. They finally understood that this fight was unavoidable. The air seemed to turn frigid. The goo master's killing intent surged. Without doubt, this was the final battle. They had great confidence in killing Fang Yuan. After all, there was the great strength true martial physique as well as Giant Sunswell. However, they were still nervous. Fang Yuan's terrifying battle strength was ingrained into their hearts. Of course we have to kill this demon. But there are bound to be casualties in battle. Oh great longevity heaven, please don't let it be me. Those were the inner thoughts of everyone. The atmosphere was getting more solemn. The battle was going to commence. But right at this moment, there was another surprising twist. Wisdom Goo suddenly stopped sending out the light of wisdom and flew into the sea of goo worms. Earlier, it had displayed its rank 9 aura at full force, but now it had completely concealed itself, hiding with the goo worm group. It quickly vanished. Everyone was shocked. Giant Sunswell was the first to react, laughing heartily. Excellent. This Wisdom Goo's wild will is a newborn. It is still very immature. Earlier, it created the halo to prevent other life forms from getting near it. But now that it sensed the battle was near, in order to avoid getting dragged into this, it escaped first. Everyone was overjoyed at this. There was no better situation. Without Wisdom Goo's halo causing trouble, Giant Sunswell could enter battle directly. Demon, the Wisdom Goo that you entrusted your life to has run away. Your time of death is now. Come and receive your death. Demon, you have committed many heinous sins. Landing in this situation today, you are dead meat. Everyone shouted, their morale surging. Giant Sunswell was ready to strike. Ha 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 ha. Fang Yuan broke the silence. He raised his head and laughed. His laughter boomed over the surroundings, giving off a wild aura. He suppressed all other voices. He had a green face with sharp fangs, and his eyes were shining with a ruthless light. Although his recovery ability was strong, his previous injuries were too severe. His body was still in bad shape. He was left with one arm. His body was crooked, yet his imposing attitude burst out, causing everyone to take a slight step back. Damn demon, still being arrogant before your death? What are you laughing for? He Lulan took a big step forward. His body was like a bear. He stared with his eyes opened wide. Demon, committing evil acts will lead to your own doom. You have no way out but death. Fang Yuan, I had already given you your only chance of surrender, but you did not grab onto it. Now, there is no way out for you anymore. Giant Sunswell shouted resolutely. Mo Yaoswell also said, Lad, no need to continue acting secretive. Your fake imposing aura cannot stop them. Don't you want to see Red Lotus Demon Venerable's secret inheritance ground? The battle is going to commence. If your mind becomes muddled against Giant Sun's will, I will not be able to save you again. Give up. This is a dead end. There is no way out. Quickly use the spring-autumn cicada. Fang Yuan's laughter ended. His voice was coarse. Isn't there a saying, heaven will always leave a path for you. As long as I want to walk, there will be a road for me to step on. Everyone was shocked. These words were very familiar. Thinking about it, they realized it was from The Legends of Renzu, Angry Face. The Legends of Renzu, Chapter 3, Section 3 states, Luopa Valley was a very wide and complex labyrinth. Renzu searched for Northern Dark Eye Soul, who was missing, but he got lost in the labyrinth himself. Even after several days, he did not find a way out. He was extremely tired. He had sprawled on the ground, his back leaning against the walls of the labyrinth. A feeling of boundless loneliness quickly engulfed him. This was because he had given his original heart to hope. Right now, he only had a heart of loneliness left. The feeling of loneliness was unbearable. Renzu was afraid of being lonely. He had once dug out both of his eyes and turned them into a son and daughter to accompany him. But right now, he could only endure the torture of loneliness. Amidst the loneliness, Renzu felt intense desolation, loss, and pain. Time seemed to have stopped. He was all alone in this world. There was nobody he could rely on. There was no fire that he could gain warmth from. Renzu felt suffocation, but as time passed, he got used to the feeling of loneliness. He even started to savor it. He started to feel that loneliness was not that scary. In his loneliness, he felt serenity, peace, and quiet. He talked to himself. Oh human, what is the purpose of your existence? Struggling here in this world, rushing about everywhere. Next, he heard a voice from beside him. Oh human, you are the spirit of all beings. You are lonely, thus you wanted to be comforted, to be understood, to be recognized. Right now, the thing you want to do most is to find the way out of this damned place. Renzu was shocked. Who is talking to me? That voice laughed as it said, I am a goo, called Self. If you look inside yourself, you will find me. Renzu quickly inspected his heart of loneliness. As expected, in the deepest part of his heart, he saw a goo worm. This goo looked very real, almost like himself, but it was many times smaller than him, like the size of an ant. Renzu was curious. You are a goo worm. Why are you inside my body? Self-goo said. Ever since you gained life, I had been inside your body. You just did not discover me. It is not easy to find me. You will need to inspect your inner heart of loneliness. Is that so? Renzu had little interest. He was quite indifferent about this as his mind was entirely concerned with Northern Dark Eye Soul. Self-goo saw Renzu's lack of concern and laughed. Oh Renzu, you should be happy. You should know, finding yourself and understanding yourself, that is the most important thing in life. You yourself are the most reliable thing in the world. Let me help you leave this place. You can help me leave this place? No way. Can you bring me out of Luopa Valley and travel in the reverse flow river? Renzu was shocked and excited. Self-goo laughed heartily. Oh Renzu, why must you walk on this road? The door of life and death's entrance and exit are the traces left behind by Fate Goo when it visited Fairness Goo. When you walk on this road, you will be under the manipulation and arrangement of fate. If you want to revive, to leave this place, you should walk on a brand new road. Renzu was perplexed. Isn't there only one road? Wisdom Goo had already told me that. Where can there be a second road? Self-goo said, Oh Renzu, as long as you want to walk, there will be a road for you to step on. Renzu was even more confused now. Then how should I walk? Self-goo said, Didn't I say it already? First, you have to think about leaving. Think. Renzu tried using his brain, thinking of how to move on. He thought for half a day. His head was bursting, when finally, a goo jumped out of his mind. This goo was an old friend of Renzu. It was Cognition Goo. Where there is cognition, there is me. Cognition Goo said, Oh human, you seem to have gotten into trouble again. Let me help you think. Saying so, Cognition Goo gave off a bright light, enlightening Renzu. Cognition Goo had an ability that was to enlighten all beings. Any life form enlightened by Cognition Goo would gain wings. Back then, Verdant Great Sun obtained the wings of self, flying into the sky. When the light dispersed, Renzu obtained a pair of wings. This pair of wings was located at his heels. They were very delicate, Cognition noted. This pair of wings is called independence. Renzu, it will help you walk on a new road. You have to be careful. A new road is hard to walk on. Other goo are unreliable. You can only rely on yourself goo. Saying so, Cognition Goo vanished. Renzu was still very much confused. How should I walk? Walk ahead and carve the path of your road of life. This is a road that is unique to yourself. Only you can walk on it. Self-Gu said excitedly. Renzu took the first step forward. Bam. The next moment, his vision changed. Everyone heard Fang Yuan and reacted, flying into a rage. This demon has lost his mind. Kill. We have to work together and kill him. Hee, how dare you compare yourself to Renzu? Go ahead and walk. Let me see what road you can walk on. Everyone lost their patience. They shouted as they charged towards Fang Yuan. Guh.at this moment, He Lulan suddenly showed a pained expression, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Good timing. Fang Yuan smiled, showing an eerie aura. He raised his remaining hand as he punched directly. Bam! With a loud explosion, Fish Chi burst out as a strength path phantom materialized in the air. Chapter 647. The answer is found in oneself. Chapter 647. The answer is found in oneself. This strength path phantom had a striking resemblance to a youthful Fang Yuan. Vivid and lifelike, and generally in the same dimensions. It obstructed the charge of the Gu Masters by itself, appearing lonely and insignificant. Isn't this that lad He Lulan's killer move? Mo Yaozhuo was surprised. Ah, I remember now, you seized his crucial Gu worm. But how did you reproduce his killer move? While she was speaking, the Gu Masters had already reached the strength path phantom. Fang Yuan's strength path phantom could only endure 3 moves before it was torn to pieces. The remaining Fish Chi was condensing again, but was extinguished by Yi Lui Sang's fire. This demon is a paper tiger. No need to be afraid. Humph. The method he is relying on now was merely stolen from Lord He Lulan. This strength path phantom has the form, but at most only has half the strength of Lord He Lulan's killer move. What's there to be afraid of? The group's morale soared higher. They paused for a moment before moving towards Fang Yuan at an even faster speed. Only He Lulan had a bewildered expression and slightly decreased his speed, staying at the rear. Did he use my vital Gu to create this strength path phantom? How could this strength path phantom actually have his own actual appearance? Although his vital Gu had been seized, his injuries had rapidly recovered. Great strength true martial physique's recovery ability was at the top of the 10 extreme physiques, tens of times stronger than 6-arm heavenly zombie king. It was not strange for Fang Yuan to forcibly refine He Lulan's vital Gu. Fang Yuan was already a Gu immortal, and with the help of a mortal essence, this meant an enormous advantage in refining mortal Gu. Fang Yuan's strength path phantom actually had the same appearance as him. This was what made He Lulan extremely surprised. Even if you seized He Lulan's Gu and roughly reconstructed his killer move, your strength path phantom merely has its form, and it might have the ability to recondense from the Fish Chi, but the difference when compared to He Lulan's genuine killer move is too great. Mo Yaozhuo bluntly commented. At this moment, everyone had reached Fang Yuan. On the outer periphery, giant suns had curled up into a ball, moving slowly, waiting for the time Fang Yuan showed a weakness during the chaotic battle to deal a fatal strike. In that case, Mo Yao, open your eyes and watch what happens next closely. Fang Yuan's grin slowly turned into a huge smile. He punched. With the only remaining arm, Fish Chi surged and turned into a strength path phantom. The phantom did not pause, immediately pouncing towards the incoming Gu Masters. Fang Yuan punched again. Another strength path phantom appeared, but it was different. This strength path phantom also resembled a young Fang Yuan, but it had 2 extra arms and it was even more powerful. Fang Yuan's breathing sped up as he punched rapidly, the fist shadows interweaving together into a curtain. Boom, boom, boom. Punches after punches in the air sent out cracking noises, producing continuous echoing explosions. Majestic Fish Chi surged madly, forming whirlwinds. Wind and clouds surged and roared like dragons and tigers. In a blink of an eye, 100 strength path phantoms were created, forming layers upon layers of protection around Fang Yuan. The Gu Masters had just finished off the previous 2 strength path phantoms and were about to charge towards Fang Yuan. But when they raised their heads, all of their expressions turned into great shock. How could there be so many strength path phantoms? One Gu Master's eyes almost popped out. F***CK, there are still more being created. Another Gu Master swore loudly. Fang Yuan continued to punch. Fish Chi formed into strength path phantoms as if they were endless. The Gu Masters could not believe what they were seeing. This number greatly surpassed He Lulan's limit. Moreover, it was still rapidly increasing. Within moments, there were already 1,000 strength path phantoms. Just recently, Fang Yuan was alone, but now he had an army standing around him. Are they phonies? A Gu Master was suspicious and felt Fang Yuan was using Gu Worm to create illusions. But the strength path phantom's solid attacks in the next moment gave a painful answer to the group. Kill. We will let you taste our power. These strength path phantoms were actually able to speak and showed extraordinary intelligence. They attacked together, forming an endless stream of humans. The goo masters who were confident in their numbers were now drowned in strength path phantoms. They seemed to be stranded in a torrential river, suffering the strong attacks of the waves. Defend. Stabilize our formation. They're only strength path phantoms. Damn it. These strength path phantoms can actually coordinate and carry out battle tactics. The goo masters shouted one after another. Their formation was like a large reef near the shore. However, after engaging in battle, they discovered that the power of these strength path phantoms far surpassed their imaginations. These strength path phantoms coordinated together and did not care about sacrificing themselves. Although they only had singular method of attacking, it generated an extremely large pressure on the goo masters. The goo masters' formation soon showed signs of breaking. What killer move is this? My strength path phantoms could not coordinate to this extent. This is simply a relentless army fighting to the death. He Lulan was shocked and uneasy. Fang Yuan retreated while continuing to punch out fish chi. The number of strength path phantoms continued to rise crazily. Your killer move. This killer move. Mo Yaozwil stammered in shock. She analyzed. Mortal goo absolutely cannot have such might. You definitely used immortal goo. You still have a trump card that I don't know about? No, impossible. You definitely had refined immortal goo. How could you refine immortal goo so quickly? Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Why do you think I tried to get near to wisdom goo by all means possible? It was to use its rank 9 aura to help me refine immortal goo. If it were other people's immortal goo, it would not be easy to deceive. Thus I could not refine man as before and landscape as before. But it is very difficult for young Wild Will to distinguish if this aura originated from me. Goo worms higher by 2 ranks or more could pressure others into submission. Back then on Qingmao Mountain, Fang Yuan used Spring Autumn Cicada's aura to help him refine goo. That means you had planned to intentionally transform completely with 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King? Mo Yaozwil immediately started feeling uneasy when she discovered this. The light of wisdom consumed lifespan, but after transforming into a zombie which was already dead, Fang Yuan naturally could stay for much longer in the light of wisdom. Mo Yao continued to observe and found that Fang Yuan's killer move followed some certain characteristics of strength path. His strength path phantoms normally had 2 arms, but sometimes there would be phantoms with 4 arms and even 6 arms occasionally. The more arms the phantoms had, the stronger they were. 2-armed phantoms only had average battle strength comparable to 100 Beast Kings. 4-armed phantoms were comparable to 1,000 Beast Kings and 6-armed phantoms were comparable to myriad Beast Kings. This is simply the recreation of a beast group. When Mo Yaozwil became aware of this, her delicate body shivered and said with an incredulous tone, You actually managed to resolve the age-old question. You have merged the 2 paths of enslavement and strength. Enslavement path controlled a great number of beasts and used numbers to crush enemies. Strength path focused on strengthening oneself, fighting many enemies alone. The essence of 2 goo master paths that were polar opposites were now perfectly harmonized and united in Fang Yuan's killer move. Fang Yuan had been trying to solve this issue since long ago, but he made no progress and was even ridiculed and persuaded against by Mo Yaozwil. However, he had never given up on his attempts to resolve this. He would never abandon something because of other people's denial, ridicule, and persuasion. The most crucial breakthrough came during the process of goo immortal advancement. He used this extremely precious opportunity to advance his strength path realm. Obtaining inspiration from heaven and earth, he abandoned everything else to wholeheartedly seek the answer for the merging of enslavement and strength path. Heaven and earth were completely open to him. He was imparted supreme mysteries. But finally, he also had wisdom goo to thank. Fang Yuan stayed under the light of wisdom for a long time, wasting away his lifespan and turning into one of the living dead. He paid a heavy price, but his rewards were also enormous. Finally, he was able to use his available goo worms to coordinate together and form the killer move. Without investment, how could there be any gains? Of course, he also had to thank He Lulan. Thanks to his vital goo, which was one of the most crucial components of the killer move. Besides it, there were immortal goo, as well as many goo worms which were required to form 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King, and in addition Fang Yuan's second vital goo, all-out effort goo, which played an important role. This was also one of the reasons Fang Yuan intentionally transformed with 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King. He needed the goo worms forming 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King to make this new killer move. Even if the black coffin luck on him intensified, Even if powerful enemies surrounded him, and the wind veil of assimilation isolated everything from the world, heaven would never seal all of one's paths. There was no absolutely desperate situation in this world. There were only people who despair. The answer to resolving problems will always be in our own hands. When we inspect our inner hearts, we will find that the miraculous heavenly power was in ourselves all along, to discover oneself, to recognize oneself, and to rely on oneself. The convergence of enslavement and strength path is an age-old question which has baffled countless heroes and geniuses through the ages. I had never expected it to be perfectly resolved in your hands. Lad, you have ventured on a new road indeed. As you continue to develop this path, you might even be able to truly unite enslavement and strength path, and develop a whole new path. This path will definitely have unprecedented strength. Mo Yao's will side with deep emotions. Her refinement path grandmaster spirit made her not stint on praising Fang Yuan. He. Fang Yuan was just about to reply when suddenly giant sun's will appeared right in front of him. It was a sneak attack. During this critical moment of life and death, Fang Yuan moved his head, his vital area, and used his shoulder to bear the brunt of giant sun's will's attack. Boom! A huge sound erupted. Fang Yuan was sent rolling to the ground, plowing a gorge meters in length. Looks like there is still quite a bit of your will remaining in my mind. You influenced my thoughts again. Fang Yuan was furious as he saw through Mo Yao's scheme. Mo Yao shed all consideration for face and screamed. Kid, I asked you to obediently activate Spring-Autumn Cicada, but you didn't give in. Destiny sent you in front of me to give me a chance at rebirth. I will definitely grasp this opportunity. Humph. Most of your will and goo worms have been locked in my immortal aperture. Your red date immortal essence is also under my control. You have no way to replenish your will anymore. To influence my thoughts, your thoughts will have to collide. Let me see how long this portion of your will that is hiding in my mind can last. Fang Yuan attacked Mo Yao's will while tightly fixing his gaze on Giant Sun's will. Strength Path phantoms soon gathered around him and filled the gap, once more tightly protecting Fang Yuan. Giant Sun's will felt quite troubled. It was okay when Fang Yuan was alone previously, but now he had so many helpers. Giant Sun's will excelled in speed and transforming, but was afraid of expending his thoughts. Fang Yuan's killer move that combined enslavement and strength path was a direct counter to him. No matter how fast your speed is, I will form a tighter defense. You have your countless transformations. I have my self-detonating phantoms. There were way too many strength path phantoms. They surrounded Fang Yuan in layers after layers, not only in all directions. There were strength path phantoms even floating in the sky. There was simply no gap to attack. This killer move actually combined the essence of both enslavement and strength path. These strength path phantoms can not only condense back from the remnant fist chi, they can even self-detonate. This kid definitely already had some foundation in this aspect and had made preparations. Otherwise, just relying on the time within the light of wisdom, he absolutely would not be able to create it out of nothing. Right, he succeeded in his Gu immortal ascension. It is extremely likely that he received the guidance of heaven and earth during the process of advancement. Damn it! Giant Sun's will pondered intensely before hurriedly stopping his thoughts. There were hardly any left. If he thought for too long, a large portion of him would vanish. A chance. Suddenly, he transformed into a golden rainbow, traveling nimbly between the army of strength path phantoms and ruthlessly striking at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan grinned. Old geezer, why are you in such a rush? He had intentionally revealed this flaw in the strength path phantoms formation. Giant Sun's will fell for Fang Yuan's scheme. 3 strength path phantoms instantly appeared in front of him. Giant Sun's will thought rapidly and like a snake, he coiled around 2. However, he could not avoid the last strength path phantom and directly smashed into it. Boom! A huge sound erupted. The strength path phantom was crushed into smithereens. Old bastard, do you really think I am easy prey? Humph, I have already waited for too long. Fang Yuan was already fully prepared. He raised his fist and pounded down with all his strength at Giant Sun's will. Giant Sun's will was caught unprepared and shattered. Chapter 648. Fierce and Ambitious. Fang Yuan finally displayed his true strength. His punch was extremely fast. Giant Sun's will was caught unprepared and received the full brunt of the attack. Bang! The condensed golden will was smashed into smithereens, splitting into countless parts. But in the next moment, the will condensed again, though its volume had fully decreased by 1/5. Having suffered such a great loss, Giant Sun's will was about to furiously counterattack. However, Fang Yuan had already retreated to safety behind the layers upon layers of strength path phantoms. Giant Sun's Will was so angry at this that he almost collapsed again. He could not think about too many things. Otherwise, he would have already seen this was a trap. Thus, he fell for Fang Yuan's scheme. Hey Lulan, what are you still hesitating for? Giant Sun's Will bellowed. How can he send out strength path phantoms that look exactly the same as him? Hey Lulan's thoughts were tangled and confused, and when he heard Giant Sun's Will's roar, he quivered before coming back to his senses. Fang Yuan's killer move was powerful and had the number advantage, suppressing everyone into such disadvantage that they were not even able to raise their heads. Even Giant Sun's Will could not make any progress. This was the moment of life and death. Hey Lulan's great strength true martial physique was the crucial battle strength that could change the situation. As he thought of this, Hey Lulan opened his eyes wide in anger and stood up straight. Boom. One ordinary punch produced a terrifying result. The piercingly cold fish chi almost penetrated the heavy layers of strength path phantoms. Human figures flew all around as the phantoms were smashed to pieces. This was the true strength of great strength true martial physique. At this moment, Hey Lulan displayed all his strength without any reservations. The immortal Gu Dark Limit's remaining power on him was a thin layer of black membrane. When Hey Lulan tore apart this layer of black membrane, his figure suddenly changed. The surging aura of one of the 10 extreme physiques soared to the skies. A formless aura shook the air and formed a shockwave that engulfed the surroundings. What's going on? Lord Hey Lulan actually turned into a woman. The rumor was actually true. In Su Xian's night elopement, Su Xian had given birth to a daughter with Hey Tribe's supreme elder, Hey Qing. It was no wonder that back then, Giant Sun's Will had chosen Hey Lulan and Ma Hongyun to be Frost Jade Peacock's masters. Giant Sun's Will had already seen through Hey Lulan's true gender. Hey Lulan turned a deaf ear to everyone's shocked remarks and fixed her gaze at Fang Yuan. Killing intent surged into wild, noble aura manifested like a proud tigress starting her hunt, bold and fearless, and hungry to devour humans. Fang Yuan gave a cold snort. Fish chi surged beside him nonstop, condensing into strength path phantoms that had the formation of an army. He had full confidence in his killer move and was not afraid of Hey Lulan. The self-detonation of one of the 10 extreme physiques can indeed slaughter immortals. But my killer move can also do so. Strength path phantoms shouted one after another. Their rallying cries poured like a river towards Hey Lulan. Hey Lulan, who had exposed her true appearance, was simply unstoppable. She was like a female warrior goddess who possessed the strength of 1,000 troops. The strength path phantom army charged at her, but she was stable and unmoved. Save me. At another side, Yi Lui sang and the others cried out for help. Fang Yuan was concentrating on 3 tasks, facing Hey Lulan, taking care of other Gu masters, and also guarding against Giant Sun's Will. He displayed his master-level attainment and enslavement path for all to see. The strength path phantom army were highly coordinated, and they seemed to move like one entity. With no regard for sacrifices, they attacked with a crazy offense. Yi Lui sang and the others were already in danger, but now could hold on no longer. Their final defensive line was broken. Hey Lulan wanted to return and assist them, but was firmly stalled by the strength path phantoms. These strength path phantoms actually have an ordinary person's intelligence. How was he able to accomplish this? He definitely seized my vital Gu, but how could he create strength path phantoms that have the exact same appearance as him? Hey Lulan was extremely astonished. The more she battled with the strength path phantom army, the more she realized their power. An individual strength path phantom was of no concern. But 3 strength path phantoms' tacit cooperation could slightly resist Hey Lulan. 6 strength path phantoms could form a small battle formation and stall her. 9 strength path phantoms attacking in succession could pressure her. The greater the number of strength path phantoms, the higher their battle strength. This was all because of the exquisite coordination between them. Even beast groups could not accomplish this. But Fang Yuan's enslavement path army was actually made of his own strength path phantoms. They came from the same source and thus were of one mind. Hey Lulan was not able to reinforce them in time. Yi Lui sang and the others were killed one after the other by the strength path phantoms. And facing the cries for help from his bloodline descendants, Giant Sun's Will made the opposite choice of Hey Lulan. He turned into several arrows and tried to take advantage of the chaos to kill Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan mobilized the guards beside him to engage in an intense battle with Giant Sun's Will. The duration of the battle was extremely short, but it was exceptionally fierce. Seeing that he could not succeed, Giant Sun's Will left, after probing, and did not continue fighting zealously. There were hardly any thoughts left in this will. The intense battle would demand quick thinking, and he would slowly be unable to bear such intensive consumption. And Fang Yuan also was in trouble. Mo Yao's will continue to bother him from time to time, creating distracting thoughts and causing him to repeatedly make mistakes when mobilizing the strength path phantoms, making him unable to display his master-level enslavement path attainment to the fullest. However, as time passed, Fang Yuan gradually attained the upper hand. His strength path phantom army continued to increase in numbers. The narrow remaining space was filled with these strength path phantoms, their number already surpassing 10,000. At the same time, Mo Yao's will's influence on him was weakening. Giant Sun's will sneak attacked many times but did not succeed. His remaining volume was less than that of an adult. The only one who was still fighting like an addict, He Lulan, was a monster with unlimited stamina. Great strength. True martial physique's battle strength could make one speechless. If not for the layers of strength path phantoms which consisted of an absurd number already, they might not have been able to restrain her. Child, you have to be careful. I researched this strength path killer move for you. Although it is strong, it has a flaw. The strength path phantom you create is actually your subconscious image. Her mother, Su Xian, said in an extremely weak tone at the moment of her death, advising her repeatedly with a worried expression. He Lulan sat at the side of the bed, grabbing her hand, nodding her head as she wept without letting out a noise. The Legends of Renzu has already told us that every person has a self in their hearts. Child, your strength path phantom is the self in your heart. What I can see from it is that you thirst for tyrannical strength. You long to escape from a woman's status and have it become that of a man's. Use this killer move as few times as possible. Be careful, as the killer move might imperceptibly influence you to become as savage as your strength path phantom in the end. Su Xian continued to mumble, almost exhausting all of her energy. Mother, I understand. You can be at ease. Bean-sized tears trickled down He Lulan's cheeks. When one day you can create strength path phantoms that resemble your appearance completely, Mother will be at ease. Remember, find yourself. Also, be careful of your father. Su Xian finished her last words, using up her final breath as she left this world. Mother. He Lulan's heartbroken scream echoed in the room. He Lulan, what are you doing? You are actually letting your thoughts wander at this moment. Giant Sun's will's furious shout broke He Lulan's recollection. He Lulan was startled to awareness. She then stared at Fang Yuan, her heart filled with extremely complicated emotions. This guy actually had already found his self. How did he accomplish it? The final moment is arriving. The wind veil of assimilation is already close to us. He Lulan, self-detonate. I swear upon the honor of Giant Sun that I will save you. Giant Sun's will commanded. Fang Yuan's gaze became sharp. He might have the Phantom Army's protection and was sure they could create enough time for him to open a Stargate, but he was not willing to take the risk. He quickly provoked. He Lulan. You are a hero of a generation. Giant Sun's will might have immortal goo, but his immortal essence is still with me. How could he save you? How about you surrender to me? I have a way to escape this wind veil of assimilation. Fang Yuan was only probing and did not hold high hopes for it. But He Lulan's movement slowed down and her battle intent clearly lowered when she heard his words. Giant Sun's will saw the situation taking a turn for the worse and quickly shouted. Don't listen to this demon's nonsense. He cannot be trusted. He Lulan, don't hesitate. This is our final chance to turn around the situation. Could it be that you don't believe me? Your ancestor? Don't forget that I am only lending you the strength path immortal goo. It still has my will and it will self-detonate with just a thought from me. He Lulan roared as her battle intent soared again. Demon, you have a glib tongue, crafty as a fox. Damn it, what good did you use on me? I will make you pay the most terrible price. Hand over your life. He Lulan erupted, and like a wild dragon entering the sea, she carved out a path through the layers of the strength path phantom army. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Good. Let me personally experience the power of great strength true martial physique. He then faced He Lulan head-on and engaged in close combat. 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King was strong, but it was not the match of the 10 extreme physiques. This was still the case under the circumstances in which Fang Yuan possessed unlimited primeval essence and was activating large numbers of mortal goo. He Lulan's feelings were much different. Fang Yuan's power and ferociousness along with the surrounding strength path phantom's tacit coordination made her feel extremely pressured, and she was suffering injuries after injuries. But great strength true martial physique's recovery ability was much stronger than 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King. The pain instead caused He Lulan to become even more fierce. For a moment, both sides exchanged moves after moves and were evenly matched. Giant Suns will only had to wait for a short while before it saw a flaw from Fang Yuan and sneak attacked at lightning speed. Fang Yuan retreated a step and turned around, counterattacking with clear hatred at Giant Sun's will. Giant Suns will gnashed his teeth as he fiercely clashed with Fang Yuan, creating an even bigger flaw. He bellowed, "Hey Lulan." As long as this exposed flaw was used, Hey Lulan could definitely inflict heavy injuries upon Fang Yuan and might even be able to take his life. Giant Suns will finally saw hope at this moment. Coming. Hey Lulan charged over and activated her goo worms, striking with an unprecedented power. A dozen strength path phantoms suddenly jumped beside Fang Yuan to protect him. Giant Suns will roared in shock. Hey Lulan's attack did not strike Fang Yuan, but smashed upon him. Giant Suns will crumbled, revealing 3 immortal goo. Hey Lulan opened her mouth, actually swallowing the 3 immortal goo. With a gulp, the 3 immortal goo entered her stomach. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. The dozen strength path phantoms that had come to reinforce him changed their formation and surrounded Giant Sun's will, before brazenly self-detonating. Fishchi surged, almost completely, exterminating all of Giant Sun's will. Only 4 to 5 traces of golden thoughts managed to escape. Chapter 649, Twin Demons. Why? The golden thoughts were furious and puzzled by the betrayal. Old bastard, I followed your commands earlier because I needed something. Now that the strength path immortal goo is already in my possession, why would I still listen to your commands? Hey Lulan sneered, her beautiful appearance filled with pride and coldness. You thankless wretch, unfilial descendant, you actually betrayed your ancestor. The golden thoughts shouted in hatred. Shut up, stop screaming. Is it because your thoughts are too few now that you are unable to think and have become so demented? Hey Lulan crossed her arms and squinted her eyes. You want me to self-detonate, but after making that kind of promise, what can you actually use to save me? Relying on your slavery goo, divert disaster goo, or fixed immortal travel. These are the only 3 remaining immortal goo on you. Now tell me, where's the immortal goo that can resurrect me? You want to deceive me with such a childish trick. If you were strong and powerful, I would obey you according to the rule of complying to the strong. But look at you now. What reason do you have to order me around? Just because you are the remaining will left behind by a dead man. Even if it is Giant Sun immortal venerable, he is already dead. He is a thing of the past. This is a new era. Why is a dead man like you still jumping around like a clown? Her words were filled with ambitious and ruthless grandeur. Hey Lulan was still that Hey Lulan. Even if I only have a single thought remaining, I can still cause the immortal goo to perish. The golden thoughts cried out. However, Hey Lulan was calm. You can try as much as you want. What's going on? You are actually suppressing 4 immortal goo. You might have great strength, true martial physique, but you don't have the will of an immortal. How can you suppress 4 immortal goo? The golden thoughts flashed with radiance before screaming out in an incredulous tone. Clearly, it was unable to destroy the immortal goo. There are still many things you do not know. Hey Lulan seemed to be shrouded in profound mystery at this moment. Hey Lulan, as a descendant of Huang Jin bloodline and a tribe leader of a super tribe, you colluded with an outsider to scheme against your ancestor. You 2 shameless bastards. When did you team up? Why didn't I discover it? The golden thoughts asked in a furious tone. Sure enough, you are much easier to deal with when you can't think. Sigh, your pathetic performance really brings shame to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's reputation. Fang Yuan sighed, but there was a grin on his face filled with disdain. The 2 had actually allied just before now. Earlier, Hey Lulan had shouted, Demon, you have a glib tongue, crafty as a fox. Damn it, what goo did you use on me? I will make you pay the most terrible price. Hand over your life. Fang Yuan had not used any goo, but Hey Lulan said Fang Yuan used a goo. This was a code word. Whether it was Fang Yuan or Hey Lulan, both were meticulous and suspicious, merciless and formidable characters. They had cooperated together throughout the imperial court contest and had great understanding of each other. Both knew how ambitious the other was and would not resign to being under someone else. Just because of this, Fang Yuan was willing to take a gamble. Anyway, with the Strength Path Phantom's protection, the risk was not high. The 2 swindlers cooperated together, He Lulan made use of an opportunity in battle and succeeded in attacking Giant Sun's will and seizing away all the immortal goo. I am unresigned. I am unresigned. I am the strongest, yet I was plotted against till I reached this stage. None of you will have a good end. My main body left behind many arrangements which are set to activate when 88 True Yang building collapses. True Yang building will be rebuilt, and you guys will be hunted down to the ends of the world. I didn't lose to you if I didn't make moves against Fang Yuan and ruin my luck. How could I lose? In the end, I lost to luck. The golden thoughts roared hysterically. Boom, boom, boomed. In the next moment, it self-detonated, destroying itself. It was after all something left behind by Giant Sun, immortal venerable. Even if there were only a few thoughts left, it was decisive that it was worried the secrets on it would be searched and extracted. The situation was hopeless, so it directly chose to self-detonate. The self-detonation of thoughts was extremely fast. Even if Fang Yuan wanted to stop it, he did not have corresponding methods. Unlike Blood Path, Strength Path, and Enslavement Path, his Wisdom Path attainment was still very shallow. Only by deceiving Giant Sun's will to enter his immortal aperture, like Mo Yao's will, would Fang Yuan be able to easily suppress it. Like this, the strongest existence and ruler of imperial court blessed land finally dispersed in smoke, not leaving even a trace of it behind. He Lulan let out a breath of turbid air before looking at Fang Yuan with a tranquil gaze, speaking in a serious tone. Now, let's have a good discussion. I believe we have the foundation for cooperation. Fang Yuan nodded, sneering. Before speaking of anything else, the immortal goo fixed immortal travel you seized is mine. That formless fist which seized fixed immortal travel had been broken by Giant Sun's will. After Giant Sun's will seized the immortal goo, he forcibly suppressed Fang Yuan's will within the goo, but did not have time to refine it. Or it may be that he did not have the strength to forcibly refine it. Thus, Fang Yuan was not able to sense the connection with fixed immortal travel. He had lost track of the target earlier and thought the formless fist had already torn through space and left. I know, this is precisely one of my conditions. Right now, I am suppressing your immortal goo, but there is no time for me to forcibly refine it. I need you to lend me this fixed immortal travel. He Lulan made an astonishing demand. Fang Yuan had a calm expression. Why should I lend it to you? Humph, the goo is on me, and without fixed immortal travel, how can you escape from here? Only if we sincerely cooperate can we have the chance to escape. He Lulan said. Fang Yuan chuckled. Who told you I don't have other methods to leave this place? He Lulan's pupils shrunk as she looked at Fang Yuan deeply. The wind veil of assimilation isolates the outside world from the inside. Goo like whole earth goo and connecting heaven goo cannot be used. You actually have another method, but you didn't use it even until now. Heh, it seems this method has its flaws. She was a formidable character, regaining her cool quickly and even carrying a probing counterattack. She sounded extremely certain, but she was not that sure inwardly and was only probing. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. His strength path phantom army was beside him, and he did not fear the self-detonation of great strength true martial physique. However, his opponent was not any ordinary person of the great strength true martial physique, but He Lulan. This fellow could not be underestimated. They had contested repeatedly in 88 True Yang building, but they were evenly matched. In fact, she even caused much trouble to Fang Yuan. Now, she was clearly still immortal, but was able to suppress 4 immortal goo, causing even Giant Sun's will to be surprised if Fang Yuan did not lend her fixed immortal travel. She was sure to die. But he still had some fear if she counterattacked at the risk of her life. Without the intervention of Mo Yao's will, Fang Yuan had returned to his original nature. He calculated his profits. Shortly after, he asked the most crucial question. Then, what can I obtain? Immortal goo dark limit. He Lulan calmly replied, but inwardly she let out a breath of relief. Oh, I would like to hear the details. I will help you obtain this goo. This goo is in the hands of goo immortal Jiangyu. It can conceal aura, hide heavenly secrets, and protect you from deductions. My great strength true martial physique was sealed with the help of immortal goo dark limit. You have caused such a huge incident. Northern Plains goo immortals will definitely track you down and cause troubles for you. Not only them, There are also the arrangements left behind by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. But with Immortal Goo Dark Limit, your location will not be discovered. Interesting, what else? Fang Yuan rubbed his chin. Hey Lulan smiled. We are both smart people, I will speak frankly. I shoulder a huge hatred and grudge, so I cannot self-detonate to kill you with me. But you also probably don't want to force me until I drag you along with me, right? Humph, you are unlikely to kill me. But it is true that it will be really troublesome. Fang Yuan gave a cold snort. Hey Lulan's pupils shrunk. From your words, it seems you still haven't fully displayed the power of your killer move. But I also have another trump card. Fang Yuan nodded. Hey Lulan had already displayed it just before. She could suppress Immortal Goo, which was not possible by just relying on great strength true martial physique. As long as there were enough profits, there was no need for bloodfest. Fang Yuan was not afraid of He Lulan's self-detonation, but there would be no benefits to both of them if he pushed her too far. He Lulan continued, I will help you obtain Immortal Goo Dark Limit, and will also return fixed immortal travel once I finish using it. I will also give you my Strength Path killer move. I believe it will provide some help to your new killer move. Moreover, I haven't killed your senior brother Tai Bai Yunsheng. Fang Yuan glanced at Tai Bai Yunsheng, who was lying on the ground in unconsciousness, with his body covered by a defensive barrier. This was clearly He Lulan's work. His evaluation of He Lulan could not help but rise by a level. He Lulan was truly not simple. She actually protected Tai Bai Yunsheng until now. Clearly, she was dissatisfied with Giant Sun's will and had been scheming against it. More importantly, she gave many benefits. Immortal Goo Dark Limit was an important benefit, fixed immortal travel was second, then the Strength Path killer move, and finally Tai Bai Yunsheng. Such an arrangement showed how much she understood Fang Yuan. Then your condition is? Fang Yuan asked. Protect me during my Goo Immortal Ascension, and also help me when I kill my father personally. He Lulan's eyes revealed extreme hatred when she said this. Fang Yuan's brows involuntarily rose up. He did not ask why, and he did not need a reason. Fang Yuan laughed brightly. He looked at the surrounding wind veil of assimilation, then turned towards He Lulan. He Lulan, who had torn off the seal of Dark Limit and revealed her true appearance, was no longer an obese and fierce bear. Instead, she had a stimulating, charming body with sharp brows and bright eyes. She was a remarkably beautiful woman filled with a tyrannical aura. Interesting. Well, there is no harm in cooperating for the moment. Fang Yuan praised as he agreed. The benefits of this cooperation were truly shocking. In any case, fixed immortal travel was in He Lulan's hands. Fang Yuan was also helpless about that, and so he might as well cooperate. Next, Fang Yuan mentioned his own conditions and reached a basic consensus with He Lulan. The shrinking of the wind veil of assimilation had almost reached the extreme. Large numbers of goo accumulated in the narrow space, crowding together. Many goo worms were already devoured by the wind veil of assimilation, becoming a part of it, but the tribulation, formless hands, were also completely gone. There is no time today, we will talk more in the future. After a rough agreement, He Lulan activated fixed immortal travel. Dark green light covered her body. She was not a goo immortal, but astonishingly, she could activate immortal goo. Before leaving, she gave a deep glance at Fang Yuan and asked, seemingly without much thought, your killer move, what is its name? Myriad Self. Fang Yuan replied. He Lulan nodded, engraving this name to the depths of her heart. She knew that sooner or later, this killer move's name would rise to fame and spread throughout the 5 regions. The next moment, fixed immortal travel activated, and He Lulan disappeared. The moment she left, Fang Yuan immediately destroyed the surroundings to prevent her from using fixed immortal travel to return. Wind veil of assimilation was already pressing in very closely. There was only a cabin-sized space left for Fang Yuan to move. Large numbers of goo worms were already devoured by the wind veil of assimilation, while there were still a few that were flying around. Fang Yuan released Starlight Firefly Goo and opened the Stargate, but he did not leave immediately, instead deeply gazing at these flying goo worms. He did not have any certainty, but still wanted to give it a try. A few breaths later, a goo worm flew towards him of its own accord. Rank 9 Wisdom Goo. In the narrow space, Fang Yuan's laughter was echoing endlessly. One could say, open attacks and secret ambushes interweave, schemes and conspiracies conjure countless arrangements. Misfortune descends, and one loses their rationality, struggling in peril for that sliver of hope. The immortal zombie is dead and has no lifespan, yet with myriad self, one has no worries. Crumbling bones pile into a meeting of two demons, thus creating endless mysteries henceforth. Chibi General, and that brings us to the end of Book 3. There was no use of spring-autumn cicada, the so-called convenient plot device. With our now zombie MC, more problems are waiting for him, but first, it is time to see our little fox lowly once again. Chapter 650, Return to Who Immortal Blessed Land. Book 4. The demon lord rampages unhindered. Slowly opening his eyes, Fang Yuan woke up. Seeing crystal walls sparkling with a bright pink-colored light, Fang Yuan was dazed, before reacting. He had used the Stargate to return to Who Immortal Blessed Land from Northern Plains. Except that in this trip to Northern Plains, he had exhausted his mind and spirit. It was such a dangerous trip. It was a near-fatal experience. Even though Fang Yuan's body was that of six-armed heavenly zombie king, his mind was still filled with fatigue. After returning to Who Immortal Blessed Land, he made some arrangements and fell into deep sleep. He slowly woke up now. After sleeping for an unknown amount of time, he was very exhausted. Even now, Fang Yuan only wanted to lie down and not get up. My body is filled with death energy. I have completely turned into a zombie. My body knows no fatigue. But my soul is still my original soul. It has its limits and will suffer injuries too. A thought flashed in his mind as Fang Yuan gradually got up. His mind was in tranquility. It was a comfortable feeling. Sleeping had the effect of soothing one's soul. Fang Yuan breathed out some turbid air, stretching his limbs. But he only felt like his body was rusty. He felt very inflexible and heavy. He was not surprised. He knew that this was the backlash of using his killer move, Myriad Self. His soul was greatly depleted. Thus, when he tried to move this extremely strong zombie body, he felt difficulty and resistance. Where is the land spirit? Fang Yuan spoke. His voice was coarse and irritating, like the sound of sand grinding on ice shards. It would give a dry and icy feeling to people. Master. At the next moment, the land spirit Little Who Immortal's voice resounded in Fang Yuan's ears. The voice was still cute and sweet, but there was a hint of worry and sadness in it. Fang Yuan turned around, only to see Little Who Immortal appearing before his left hand with reddened eyes. How long have I been asleep? Fang Yuan nodded, asking, Master, you have been asleep for 2 days and 3 nights. Little Who Immortal replied. Fang Yuan recalled, 2 days and 3 nights was in terms of Who Immortal Blessed Land time. 5 days in Who Immortal Blessed Land was 1 day in the outside world of the 5 regions. That means that since Fang Yuan left the wind veil of assimilation, less than a day had passed in Northern Plains. Fang Yuan's inner thoughts settled. Before he slept, he had made an agreement with He Lulan. They were temporarily cooperating. Thus, he would have to return to Northern Plains soon. Little Who Immortal saw that Fang Yuan was silent and thought he was upset. She opened her tiny mouth and consoled, Master, don't be too upset. Your current appearance, although it is quite ugly, I'm sure there's a way to change it back. I believe that one day, Master will go back to his original form. Master, you have to cheer up. Fang Yuan laughed speechlessly, stretching out one arm and touching Little Who Immortal's tiny head. Little Who Immortal dodged for a bit, but eventually, Fang Yuan's terrifying giant zombie hand landed on her head. She lowered her head, not making a sound. Fang Yuan started stroking her hair and Little Who Immortal could not take it anymore. She cried, Master, although your palm is icy cold, I still like it. Saying this, she hugged Fang Yuan's huge legs and began sobbing. Little Who Immortal was still so cute. She was like a 5 to 6-year-old child, pure and innocent, cute and tiny. She wore a rainbow dress and her snow-white foxtail was drooping towards the ground, showing her current sad mood. The land spirit was formed from the fusion of obsession and heavenly power. It was different from Will's and would never lie. Little Who Immortal spoke the honest truth. Fang Yuan's expression was calm. He did not speak. But the fangs that were outside his mouth retracted a little, and the movement of his hand stroking Little Who Immortal's head became more gentle. He split a portion of his consciousness and looked inside his body. In the first aperture, there was dead silence. There was not a bit of primeval essence inside, only Fang Yuan's first vital goo. The originally clear crystal purple walls had turned into a rock-like material. The rock wall was filled with small cracks. The culprit behind this wound was the spring-autumn cicada in the middle of his aperture. Spring-autumn cicada's body was glowing with green and yellow light. The aura of a rank 6 immortal goo was permeating the entire aperture. If it was his rank 5 peak stage aperture, it might have burst already. But now that the aperture was dead, it could handle more of the immortal goo's pressure. Even though there was a limit, he was far from reaching it at the same time. Fang Yuan also noticed that the aperture was completely dry and could not produce any more primeval essence. This is the price for turning into a zombie. The aperture is dead and cannot produce any primeval essence. Fang Yuan assessed in his mind. He could not help but think of first Jin Guyu. He had turned into a blood white and his aperture could not produce primeval essence. Thus he had great desire for goo worms like heavenly essence treasure lotus. My current situation is way better than first Jin Guyu. I have already ascended into an immortal. I have 19 green grape immortal essence and limitless primeval essence. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan moved his consciousness from the first aperture to the second aperture. The newly born strength path immortal aperture had also turned gray. The blessed land was now a dead land. The sky was gray and the white stone mountains had collapsed. The ground was rotten and dark, emitting a foul odor. The ground was full of cracks, like the aftermath of an earthquake. This was the result of forcefully containing wisdom goo. Inside this immortal aperture were almost all of Fang Yuan's goo worms. The most attention-grabbing ones were naturally the immortal goo. There were 7 immortal goo in here. This amount was bound to shock others if revealed publicly. Immortal goo were unique. They were extremely hard to get. Most ordinary goo immortals would not even have one immortal goo. If he included fixed immortal travel that he had lent to He Lu Lan, as well as spring-autumn cicada, Fang Yuan had a total of 9 immortal goo. This number could put most rank 7 goo immortals to shame. There were 3 immortal goo that were related to Water Pavilion. They were Worldly Wave Trace goo, Delight in Mountain and Water goo, and Calamity Beckoning goo. The other 4 immortal goo were obtained when Fang Yuan painstakingly smashed the formless fists. Other than the immortal goo, there were mortal goo. The most valuable mortal goo were also obtained when Fang Yuan smashed the formless fists. All these goo worms originated from the true inheritance secluded domain's many inheritances. Each of them were high-quality goo worms and had profound differences from common goo. But of greater importance was the second aperture's vital goo. Rank 4 all-out effort goo, as well as bitter strength goo, borrow strength goo, self-reliance goo, refine essence spirit goo, earth strength goo, water strength goo, wind strength goo, lightning strength goo, fire strength goo, lurking beast coat goo, aura, concealment goo, and so on. It was these goo worms that formed the foundation of the killer move Myriad Self, allowing Fang Yuan to ultimately clinch victory within the wind veil of assimilation. Other than these, there were the other random goo worms. Like the Eagle Rise goo which Fang Yuan had used and expended the most in this journey within Northern Plains. The Windflower goo which could allow changes in direction easily. The Soul Blade goo obtained from Soul Blade General Pan Ping. There was also the Battle Bone Will goo, Stargate goo, and the goo that made up the foundation of a goo immortal, Whole Earth goo, Connecting Heaven goo, Divine Sense goo, and others. The highest quantity that he had among them were of beggar moths. Almost 1,000 of them. They had the effect of storing primeval essence. They were a huge help to Fang Yuan during the final moments of his Northern Plains trip. After inspecting his mortal and immortal aperture, Fang Yuan directed his attention to his body, without using a mirror. He knew that he had turned into a monster completely. 6 meters tall, a green face and sharp fangs, blood-red eyes, bulging muscles that were tough as rocks. Most importantly, he had 8 arms. Other than his 2 human arms, his other 6 arms were terrifying in appearance. They originated from the other rank 5 flying zombie goo, Azura zombie goo, heavenly demon zombie goo, blood white goo, nightmare zombie goo, plague zombie goo, and earth chief zombie goo. Fang Yuan did not care whether his appearance was handsome or ugly. Little who immortal was concerned about it because she was formed from the obsession of the female goo immortal, Fairy Bai Hu. What Fang Yuan cared about was that the zombie body caused his cultivation to stagnate. He was unable to advance his cultivation in the slightest. This was a huge obstacle in his pursuit of the demonic path and his dream. He had grand ambitions. He wanted to obtain eternal life. Eternal life was in reference to being the strongest, an indestructible being that cannot be taken down by tribulations or disasters, a person that cannot be harmed by anyone, as well as having infinite lifespan. Although a zombie body had no lifespan, His soul could still suffer damage, and his body could still be destroyed if he was attacked by someone stronger than him. There were still many flaws and weaknesses. Thus, many Gu masters and Gu immortals would turn into zombies only after they were left with no other choice. This method was truly a last resort for survival. It was like longing towards heaven while being in hell. How can I get rid of the zombie body, returning to life from death, and obtain a live human body again? Fang Yuan asked in his heart. Evidently, this was a problem that needed to be solved. Although he had no answers, he had some rough ideas. Interrogating Mo Yaozwell, who was in his immortal aperture, was one method. Using wisdom Gu was the second. Little Hu Immortal's crying slowly stopped. As Fang Yuan retracted his hand, his emotions calmed down as he asked, "During the days when I was asleep, did anything happen?" Little Hu Immortal heard her master's inquiry and immediately stood up straight. She wiped her tears and answered him maturely. Reporting to Master, there were two things. First, your senior brother, Tai Bai Yunxing, had already woken up. He has been wanting to meet you over these last few days. He was so anxious he even cried several times. But Master had given me the orders, thus I refused to let him in. The second matter is regarding Immortal Crane's sect. They have stopped engaging in our Rockman transactions. Fang Yuan heard this and frowned lightly. Fang Yuan was well aware of the reason why Immortal Crane's sect stopped the Rockman transactions. Who Immortal blessed land at Dang Hun Mountain. This was something known by everyone in Central Continent. Immortal Crane's sect's target was Dang Hun Mountain, but they could not attack Who Immortal blessed land directly. Thus, over a year ago, they had sent Fang Zheng to negotiate, eventually settling on the transactions of Rockman. But their primary objective was Dang Hun Mountain and the Guts Gu. After that, Immortal Crane's sect had repeatedly urged and emphasized while requesting Fang Yuan to sell the Guts Gu, but he refused them every time. After a year, seeing that Who Immortal blessed land was refusing to give in, Immortal Crane's sect had lost their patience, thus stopping the Rockman trade. As to whether they would express anger and want to force Fang Yuan to renegotiate, or whether they have other objectives, that would depend on how the situation progresses. Who Immortal blessed land is not a utopia, it is located at Tian Mountain. And the outside situation is also perilous. If Fang Yuan had a blessed land as an immortal aperture, his reliance towards Who Immortal blessed land would greatly reduce. He could even swallow Who Immortal blessed land directly, making his escape and leaving this place. Unfortunately, he was now a zombie. His immortal aperture was a dead aperture. There was no way to consider this. Fang Yuan thought about it, but for now could not come up with any ideas. Damn it, after becoming a zombie, my cognitive abilities have weakened. My thoughts are moving slower and slower. It is too inefficient. Fang Yuan frowned deeply. He started to feel the drawback of the zombie body.